So welcome everybody to Coffee Talk. And normally I'm joined by Nate. I'm not exactly sure what's up with him. I haven't heard from him. And last night I flew in from Florida, sent a message, and sometimes these things work out this way. So I figured I would title today's episode Showing Up. What if we just showed up anyway? Totally not prepared. I mean, we always show up not prepared anyway, but you guys don't necessarily know that. Um, so, showing up in your life, showing up for things that maybe you're a little bit hesitant or resistant to do, showing up, actually being seen in the world, all of these can be really sticky places for people. And what I've found is that it's mostly in our heads what is keeping us from showing up, and also our points of view of ourself. So what if we just set all that stuff aside and recognize that we're enough? We can show up as us. We don't need to prepare anything. And what comes out of your mouth when you're actually being present and showing up is exactly what people need to hear. And this is something that took me a long time to learn, because I used to pre think about what I was going to talk about, if I had a lunch meeting, or even, doing an announcement, or anything really, even, being with family. I'd like think about, okay, what are we going to talk about, and try to figure that out, have a few things in mind. How many of you actually do that, still do that, think you need to do that? All of that energy, let's just destroy and uncreate it. We're using the access consciousness clearing statement: right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, to clear some of the energy there, because all those places where we have points of view keep us from actually being present with what is and who is in front of you. And most of the time when you have something prepared, it's not matching the people who are showing up in front of you. So what would it actually be like to throw out the script, just take a moment, get present, and be in the question: what can these people hear? What's possible? What can I speak to? When you ask these questions in your head, awarenesses come in. And when awarenesses come in, then you can speak to them. Oh, and there's Cindy. Hi, Cindy. So it's really interesting when you're present and there's this space and you don't have anything in your head and nothing is coming to mind to say. What if that's not a wrongness? What if that's not a wrongness? You say that again. What if that's not a wrongness? So everywhere we've gone to the wrongness of the space, instead of recognizing that there's a strongness in that space, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. We don't need to fill all this space with lots of chatter. I actually find that it's really nice to have space. Space in the conversation, space just to be with somebody. Exactly. Somebody said just being. And when you're being, then you can receive. It can feel uncomfortable. Yes, it can feel uncomfortable, but I think that mostly it's that we're programmed to think that it's uncomfortable or that there's something wrong with it so that we fill it up with more chatter because there's so much potency in space. And if everybody was walking around potent, we wouldn't be able to be controlled. Wouldn't that be a marvelous thing? Not being able to be controlled. Yeah. So over the years, I've been using these tools. I've also taken classes in actually having your voice heard in the world. And it's really interesting from years ago when I first started doing videos and how I felt when the camera was on was like really intense. And now it's like, hi, how's it going? So it's not a big deal. And it's really cool that you can move from feeling totally uncomfortable to being totally comfortable and totally yourself, whether it's in person, on camera, on a stage. But baby steps, you don't have to put yourself up on a stage and you don't have to put yourself on camera unless you want to. I don't know that I even actually wanted to. I just knew that I wanted to make these tools available to people in the world, and I had to be willing to step up to allow that to happen. It's not a personal desire to be on stage or on camera at all, but I'm willing to go through it to share this stuff because this is awesome. I mean, wouldn't you like to be more present and more you without having to hide who you are? Yeah. So, what else would you like to know? What can I share that would make it easier for you to show up in your life? So, all the projections and expectations that people have of you that you perceive, and it feels like really intense. What if you were to allow yourself to be aware of that? Just be aware of it. You don't have to do anything with it, but just be aware of it. And a lot of the time, it just kind of moves through you. We think that if we're aware of something, we have to handle it, we have to fix it, we have to deal with it, we have to change it. But what if it's a lot easier? What if we could just let it move through? So, everything that doesn't allow us to just be present and observe, everything that people project and expect of us, let's destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Wow, that's a lot of energy, you guys. There may only be a few watching right now, but all the people in the future, whew, there's a lot of projections and expectations going on. So another thing you can do is when you wake up in the morning, you can ask for all the projections and expectations and judgments that people have of me. I destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, or just go pot and pock. And then you can also ask for all the projections, expectations, and judgments that I have of myself. Pot and pock. Let it all go. And it just gives you more space. More space. So everything that doesn't allow you to enjoy the space, to choose the space, to be the space, will you destroy and uncreate that? Pot and pock. Hmm. Now notice how there's not a whole lot going on in your head. It's kind of nice. I used to do daily morning and evening meditation for like 20 years. There was always morning and evening, an hour each. And then there were some days where we would go and do group meditation, sometimes 2, 4, 6 hours, just to get to this space. And it was such hard work. My butt was not happy sitting so much. And towards the end of that 20-year um, participating in that particular meditation group, I found these access tools and started using Who Does It Belong To? When I first started sitting for meditation, for any thought that came into my head, I'd use Who Does It Belong To? And it was like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. So you don't have to sit for an hour to get to it. And then I started noticing that after meditation, if I'd get up and go talk to my husband or something, we get into an argument almost immediately. It's like the space was gone, the peace was gone. But when I started practicing bars and running bars, I would have that space and peace for days. And I could walk and talk and interact. And yet I didn't lose the peace. I didn't lose the space. And eventually I stopped requiring sitting to meditate because I was being a walking, talking meditation. Not to say that, meditation isn't worthwhile. Go for it if that works for you. But I noticed for me that it wasn't just about me having peace for myself. If I was going to interact in the world, I needed to bring that to the world too. I couldn't just have it for myself and pull all my energy in. I wanted to be it in the world and create a difference. And meditation is awesome when you're by yourself in a cave. You can get to some amazing spaces, but interacting in the world is so much more difficult to maintain unless you have other tools. So if you haven't had bars, or if you haven't had them recently run, I invite you to check it out or check it out again or have them run by somebody else because bars is amazing. It can create so much space and so much peace in your world, in your body. And then you can become a walking, talking meditation in the world. And now there's people running bars in almost every single country. So if anybody is looking for this, it's available. Cindy said, after bars, there's less reaction, more action, or just being. Yeah, exactly. Like things don't piss you off so much. Um, or the reaction just isn't, it's not as strong. You have more patience, you have more space, you have more peace, and it just creates um, easier dealing with whatever's showing up. Yeah. So the question is, what is it that you are looking to do and be in the world? And would having more space and peace allow you to do it or be it easier? Maybe. I don't know. Some people really like their trauma drama. That's the reason so many TV shows are trauma drama. Personally, that's not my favorite. I like happy things. uh, anyway, so showing up. What would it be like to show up more as you in your life? And so, all the judgment that we have of ourselves, it's another thing that's a major, major source of hiding. All the judgment that we have of ourselves that keeps us from being and keeps us from showing up. Can we destroy and uncreate even just like the top 10%? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. You don't want to let go of all of it, and you'd be weird. Maybe you do. The funny thing is that people already see us more than we see ourselves. So, what if we were just willing to be us and see ourselves and not have a point of view about it? So, everything that keeps us from having no point of view about who we are and how we show up that allows us to be whatever we want to be in the moment, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Uh-oh. Something's changing. I think more people might be willing to show up. Mm. Hmm. So it's a really nice space opening up. If you can perceive it, just ask what it feels like for you. Um, it's like I don't know, like being in nature, being held. This is what occurs when we let go of our points of view, especially of ourselves. I mean, for the most part, we're just judging ourselves anyway. It's not really other people. Other people are judging themselves, and it might look like it's us, but it's. So I'm going to jump over to my other group for expanding. So I'm going to say goodbye for today and thanks for joining. Thanks for joining in the future and come and check out some of the other things that I do. Okay, see you guys.